Hey, March 31st. Wow. Yesterday's announcement. I did it. I took the plunge. I've talked a lot since I've known you, since you've been around for the last 5 years. I've been doing this show. 2 million people a month watch or listen to this thing, and they were absolutely thrilled yesterday. The results are in, the reviews coming in. I announced yesterday that I'm running for the governorship of the state of Kansas. I've lived in Kansas for the last 34 years, and it has been in the grip of the communist-socialist movement, especially in the governor's office. We have a supermajority of Republicans in the House and the Senate in Kansas, but yet we don't get enough done. We need a strong conservative governor in that office. I'm the one. The MAGA template. It's mine. We're going to run with it. Trump has invented it. We're going to implement it in Kansas. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron DeSantis who? Kristi Noem? Huh? What? What state is she from? Governor Billings is going to be the new template for the American governorship across this republic. Just wait and see. You've not seen anything yet, and I'm going to get into all of the reasons in this episode 1 of how I, as governor, will make Kansas great again. Ladies and gentlemen, the right side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's
Hey,
go.
everybody. My name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right side with Doug Billings, right side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to the Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. All right, we're going to get into it today. The messages have been coming in from all over. I have General Flynn supporting us, John Rich out of Nashville, offering some words of encouragement today. Roger Stone texted me. We have lots of people, and there will be many more to come, believe me, supporting me with regards to my run for the governorship of the state of Kansas. I have spoken with you for the past 5 years about determined prayer, determined patriotism, and the reasons why our republic has fallen into the grip of radical liberalism. I call it communist-socialist, the communist-socialist party. I have spoken about determined prayer, which I think is obvious. Most people understand what prayer is, but the determined patriotism part, what does that mean? What exactly do I mean? Well, I'm going to get into all of this, but determined patriotism is basically doing the hard work of it all. It means doing what we need to do in our local grassroots level to recover this republic and whatever state that you live in within the republic from the grip of the Communist Socialist Party. Taryn, hey, thank you, Taryn Buer. I see you there on Facebook. Thank you for the encouragement. I'm watching the chat line as I do the show live here today, as I always do. But let's get into this, because I'm going to dive into what has not only, caused me to throw my name in the hat, but Kansas needs bold leadership. So often the establishment, the elected class, doesn't tell you what you need to know. They're only telling you what they think their donors want to know and what to hear. So I'm not beholden to any of that. I am an outsider, completely never involved in politics in my life. Now, I talk about politics every day on this show. I, of course, create the most intellectually mature podcast audience in all of podcast land, ladies and gentlemen, and you're part of it, because we talk about the truth. We look at the state of play in America, and I have told you during these past 5 years, the truth, whether it's COVID, election integrity, or Ukraine, or the border crisis, or what really is the agenda behind this radical democratic movement that we're seeing in America, because it's stricken every state in this union. So we need a politician, hello, I guess I'm going to be one, who's going to tell you the truth, who's going to tell you like it is, who has the guts, the gusto, and the passion to tell you the truth. And I'm not going to dance around the issues. We've been in trouble far too long for anybody who wants to earn the honor of your vote to dance around issues. So I've got a master's degree in curriculum and instruction. If you're from Raytown, Missouri, that's basically education. I've got a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, and I have spent my professional career in human resources, growing up and rising through the ranks to become a vice president of human resources. Negotiating, part of my main responsibility was negotiating deals, negotiating collective bargaining agreements with unions. I was always on the corporate side, championing, capitalism and the workers and the companies and so forth. But we had to come to the table, I did, and negotiate. And you talk about using the art of the deal, folks, that's what I've done for the past 30 years. So if we need someone to sit down and negotiate and be tough, I'm the one. I'm going to do it. Look, we need common sense solutions in Topeka, Kansas, and around this republic. I don't want you to turn off the show if you don't live in Kansas, by the way, because what you're going to witness here right now today is someone putting forth to you the template for the governor you should elect in whatever state you live in. Is I've got a plan that's going to make Kansas the envy of every state in the nation. I'm talking about eliminating property tax. They've tried to do this in Kansas. We are supposed to have, on paper, this quote unquote super majority of Republicans. But as you all know, we are plagued with a rhino problem, Republicans in name only. I'm going to revolutionize the educational system. Now that the Department of Education on the federal level is gone, we're going to take a look at education at Kansas and make it a role model for other states around this country. I'm going to launch my version of K-Doge, Kansas Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, we're going to model it after what Elon has done. Look, folks, I'm a MAGA conservative. I don't need to reinvent the wheel here. President Trump has already given us the template to go forward, and I will. With the MAGA agenda. I am not fooling around. We're going to hit the ground running. This is going to be epic on every imaginable scale. So we have truth, honesty, property tax gone, education highlighted, K-Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency in Kansas. I'm also going to get rid of, eliminate, and do away with once and for all every woke and DEI initiative in the state of Kansas. Gone, kaput. They're out. Wokeism and the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, those are code words for racism. They're code words for prejudice. And we're going to put it into it. We don't have any time for that in Kansas, nor should you, no matter where you live. So here's what you do. If you're looking for a governor wherever you live, especially if you're in Kansas, I'm going to start with item number one. And these are listed in no particular order. They're all equally important and equally part of what I'm going to do as governor. Eliminating property tax. If there's one thing that Kansans are tired of, and I'm sure that you are too, wherever you live, it's the government reaching into our pockets and taking our property taxes every year. As a MAGA conservative, I believe that you need to keep more of your hard-earned money. Property tax is a relic, ladies and gentlemen. It's a dinosaur. It should be extinct. It punishes you for owning a home, a car, a farm, or a business. And I would even make the case, look, I believe property tax is unconstitutional. And we're going to make that case in front of the courts in Kansas. I'm going to work with the legislation. Of course, the legislators in Kansas are good men and women, the Republicans. Now, there's a few rhinos in the mix, but the majority of them are good people. We just need the governor to be the voice and of passion and of drive and of leadership, and to use the governor's bully pulpit to drive these messages. So what's the plan regarding property tax? I'm going to eliminate it entirely. Now, the governor in Kansas just can't do that unilaterally. I would have to work with the legislators, and I will. But automatically people go, well, if you're going to do away with a tax, how do we fund schools and roads, Doug? That's the liberal rhino mindset. That's what they're going to do. Simple, I would say. The answer is to that. We streamline state spending. We cut waste. K-Doge, for example. I'll get to that in a minute. And we shift to a fairer system of taxing, and these are just talking points, because we can talk about a lot of fair tax systems, but anything other than property tax, like a consumption-based tax that hits everyone equally. It doesn't hit just property owners, for example. It's all up for discussion. I want to have the discussion. I would work with the Kansas legislature in order to get these things done. They need to be done. The people of Kansas have been talking about this for years. They just voted in our capital to end property tax, and there were 5 rhinos that prevented it. We came up 1 vote short. It's so maddening. So Kansas has, last time I checked, and as far as I know, we have a $3 billion surplus right now. So let's use it wisely to phase out property tax over my first term. Imagine the relief that farmers in Salina, Kansas would have, that families in Wichita would receive, school children in Olathe, small business owners in Topeka. No more annual tax bills hanging over your head. That, my friends, that is the definition of freedom. And that's what the founders had in mind, by the way. We have drifted so far away in this country, not only as an executive branch, as government, or in a legislative branch, but the judicial branch. We've all drifted away from the founders' intent. So that's property tax. Another way that I'm going to make Kansas great again is making education better without the feds. The federal Department of Education is gone, and good riddance. It should have been gone long ago. President Carter created this department, and ever since, the United States educational system has plummeted, and we have the dumbest dumbed down in educational history around the planet. As a former teacher with a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, I've seen firsthand how these federal bureaucrats meddle in our classrooms. And so have you. You've seen this, pushing this one-size-fits-all nonsense. Now, Kansas has the chance to take control. And my vision for that is local power. And by that, I mean parents. But first, let's recruit, train, motivate, and inspire other MAGA conservative parents to run for and win seats on Kansas school boards and school boards throughout the country. Hi, Debbie Robertson. I see you out there on Facebook land. Thanks for chiming in. I appreciate you watching and listening to the program. Stay with me. So, with conservative school boards in place wherever you live, we empower parents. We empower teachers, not some elitist in Washington, D.C., or any other liberal local woke kook who wants to put in DEI, the rainbow flag, and talk about how transgenderism and God making mistakes with regards to gender assignment is actually real. Those people have no idea and have no reason making decisions about what's best for our children. Parents, and especially, please, parents who do the work of determined patriotism, getting involved with your local school boards. I would also push, as governor, for more funding directly to classrooms, more books, better technology, higher teacher pay for qualified teachers, ending tenure, and making it a competitional, merit-based system without all of the red tape. And as a former teacher from long ago, I know that we can improve outcomes of these students. Our test scores are, 24th, 25th in the world? Not only embarrassing, unacceptable. The basics, reading, arithmetic, not just math, English, civics, again, not just history, and critical thinking. Those are the basics, but I would work to include not only those subjects and bolstering them within the public schools and other schools in Kansas. I would work to include the subjects that the founding fathers wanted included in the public schools. All you have to do is do a simple research on your favorite search engine, early American or colonial American school curriculums. What did they have? What were the subjects? Well, I think in addition to the ones that I just mentioned, I think philosophy, we can make a case for that. The founders wanted that. And study of the Christian Bible back in schools. That's what the founders wanted. And don't give me the separation of church and state nonsense. That is absolutely a quote from Thomas Jefferson to the Bradbury Baptist Association that was taken completely out of context, and it continues to be just butchered out of context. There is not this separation. Like, we can't talk about God in school. Doug, we can't do it because there's a separation of church and state. No, not true. Not even close. And we're done with that myth. So with the feds and the Department of Education out of the way, I would make Kansas schools a model of excellence around the country, tailored to our values, those values that the founders intended us to have, traditional family, Christian values. Somebody's got to be brave enough to say this out loud. What about Muslim values, Doug? That means we've got to put up the Quran and teach the Quran. And no, it doesn't. The founders didn't intend that. All right, the next initiative to make Kansas great again, K-Doge. Yes, it is a play on the Elon Musk and Donald Trump Doge initiative, the Department of Government Efficiency, Kansas version. So let's talk about efficiency. We have got Elon Musk slashing waste at the federal level. We all love it. We all get a sense, ever since Trump got back in office, don't you agree that even on a cloudy day, the sun is brighter? It's because we're seeing all this waste, and these are the fraud, the abuse, the dare I say, crimes being exposed. We're seeing this all happen right in front of us. So I'm going to bring that same energy to Kansas with my K-Doge initiative. K-Doge. I'm getting a nod over there. Yes, that's how you pronounce it. Department of Government Efficiency, Kansas version. I know that there is something in Kansas because people in Kansas are saying, well, Doug, the Senate created something called the Senate Committee on Government Efficiency Initiative. They call it COGE, C-O-G-E, right? Okay, it was rolled out in January, folks. January of this year, 2025, and it's published no meaningful results whatsoever. For those of you watching, it's an initiative that the Senate created, and it's an online system asking for the public to give ideas about how to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, which is fine, but they haven't done anything. And, Elon Musk and President Trump aren't asking the public what they should go after. They're going after obvious waste, abuse, and fraud, because anyone who has any common sense can understand and know and identify what waste, bureaucracy, fraud, and inefficiency looks like. We all know it. So here's what I do. Under the Kansas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, the governor has a broad executive authority to appoint heads of major state agencies. Some of those may require Senate confirmation, but look, we've got a supermajority of Republicans in the Senate. I'm a MAGA conservative. I will bring forth people who the Senate loves and who Kansas needs. I know bankers, high-level CEOs, brilliant financial minds who I would invite to come on, and free of charge to Kansas. The legislature won't have to worry about purse strings or how are we going to pay for this. These people would engage in determined patriotism as part of their view of patriotism towards Kansas. And they would work closely with the Senate and the House Republicans in all of the branches, and we would begin to reduce waste. I'm not going to sit around and waste time asking questions about what waste is. We already know what waste is. We can see it and smell it a mile away. We're going to put together a team that I will appoint that will go after it. And we will report the results once a week to the people of Kansas and to the country, who's ever interested in watching. The first department is the Kansas Department of Administration. This department oversees budgeting and efficiency, and it's led by a secretary who I get to appoint. Okay, the Kansas Department of Revenue, another one. It's a key department for any tax-related initiatives, like eliminating property tax. It also has a secretary that I get to appoint as governor. The Kansas State Board of Education. This one's a little bit different because it is an elected body in the state of Kansas. But as governor, I can appoint the Commissioner of Education, who gets to execute the policies. So that person, you can better believe it, is going to be a like-minded MAGA conservative. So that most agency heads in Kansas and under the Constitution in Kansas serve at quote, the pleasure of the governor, which means I can hire and fire them as I see fit. And if they're not doing the job, they're out. So I can appoint MAGA conservatives within my administration who share my vision. I'm talking again, fiscal hawks, anti-woke crusaders, pro-life warriors. Once these people are appointed, I can direct those agency heads to implement my K-Doge agenda, staying well within existing legal authority as governor. I'm not going to step outside of that authority, but here's how we're going to be doing this specifically. So number one, efficiency audits. That's exactly what I would be doing. I would instruct the Secretary of Administration, for example, to launch internal reviews of spending to identify waste and propose cuts to me. And beautifully, almost ironically, that is already part of the job description of that particular title under Kansas KSA 753707. Look it up. The second way we're going to do this with Doge is implement policy shifts. I would direct, for example, the Commissioner of Education to prioritize curriculum changes like scrapping DEI or woke agendas and redirect resources to classroom basics. I would leverage my influence as governor. We do have a bully pulpit as governor, after all. I would leverage that over the Department of Education's operations. And then we would use another specific way that we do this with the Doge is we invoke regulatory rollbacks. I think as I think about that, I would direct the Department of Revenue or other such agencies to streamline their processes, to cut red tape, to pilot tax reforms, tax elimination programs, and steps towards the goal of eliminating property tax. Those are specific ways in which we can do this. Save this tape, save this show, share it, and play that back because that's important. No other candidate is saying it. My past life in corporate America, negotiating collective bargaining agreements against very aggressive unions. I mean, I'm talking the United Auto Workers, the Teamsters. I mean, the tough of the tough and the radical of the radical. I've sat across the table from a nurses union from California that'll make your head spin. The most radical group of kooks you've ever want to meet, but I digress. Negotiating those agreements is perfect experience for all of this about which I'm speaking to you about, because I know how to rally a team. I know how to set clear goals and hold people accountable and to negotiate deals on behalf of the people of Kansas. I will keep Kansans informed. They will not only receive weekly updates from K-Doge, but they will see monthly or possibly quarterly television broadcasts from me, keeping in touch, telling them what's going on. And I'm going to travel the state. The traveling for me will not end after the campaign. In fact, it'll probably get busier as I travel the state after I win. So that's my plan with regards to K-Doge, the Kansas Department of Government Efficiency. I mentioned also eliminating woke and DEI initiatives. So let's get real about that. Diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, they're divisive, they're wasteful, they're distractions, and at their core, they're racist and prejudiced. And they've got no place in Kansas as far as I'm concerned. As governor, I'm going to eliminate every state-funded program pushing that kind of garbage. Our schools and agencies should focus on merit, not identity politics. And I've seen the numbers with Musk and so forth at the federal level. Doge at the federal level has saved over $1 billion federally by cutting DEI contracts. And we can do the same kinds of things in Kansas. Why are we spending tax dollars to lecture Kansans or any other member of any other state about privilege instead of fixing roads or teaching kids? It's insanity. And it all ends under my watch as governor in Kansas, and you, again, using the template for your governor in your state. Hey, Billings over in Kansas is cleaning up. He's eliminating woke and DEI agendas. How come we're not doing this in Iowa or Tennessee or Nebraska or California or wherever? We're going to unite around our shared values, folks. And as we're learning, when we look at what Trump is doing and the 75% of Americans who agree with Doge and the initiatives that Elon and his team are doing, we're going to take that advantage and we're going to work with it in Kansas. Hard work, family, and faith. Not tearing each other apart with woke ideologies and DEI requirements that are at their core racist and prejudicial. And my outside strength, again, is a strength. My outside experience, I'm not a politician. Why me? That's what you should be asking, and I welcome the question. Thank you, Roy Howard, out there on Facebook. I'm glad you're liking the sound of this. I appreciate it, my friend, and thanks for taking time to make a comment. Folks, you, as I broadcast live, feel free. Facebook, on X. We're out there on Rumble. We're out there on a number of places, but Facebook and X. Thank you very much, Roy. I see your comment. As Vice President of Human Resources, as I mentioned, sitting across from the Teamsters or the United Auto Workers, the United Steel Workers, or nurses unions, or whatever, is not an easy task. It's not for the faint of heart, I can tell you that. Negotiating multi-million, sometimes billion-dollar contracts that saved everything from insurance costs to labor costs to electric bills. That's what I've done. The art of the deal, right here. I'm the one. And all of that would be huge from Kansas, for Kansas. So if the legislature is going to be a little bit stubborn on some issues, let me talk with them. Let me get in and speak with our Republican friends in the House and the Senate. Let's work on negotiating and cutting these kinds of deals for the people of Kansas. And let's please, when we're in front of the cameras, tell the truth and call it what it is. The DEI woke agenda, for example, is Kookville. It's not going to happen anymore. The radical liberal agenda is Kookville. It's over in Kansas. The radical liberal movement in America has completely supplanted what used to be the Democrat Party. Folks, the Democrat Party does not exist anymore. It's the Communist Socialist Party. And when you look at their policies, their platform, and their agenda, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that they are not a pro-America political party. I mean, evidence of the obvious is sufficient. Look at what they did to our border situation under the Biden regime. Crime, chaos, and crisis. That's what they want. Every one of their policies. Another example besides the border, crime, defunding the police. Are you kidding me? Why? It begs the question, why would they open the borders? Why would they defund the police? Why don't they prosecute violent criminals with extreme prejudice? Why don't they put people behind bars and sentence people with the full force of the law behind them? Here's the secret: because they want chaos. They want crime. They want crisis. Crisis, chaos, crime. That's what they want. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. And so they've replaced their Democrat Party with this blending of communism and socialism. I call it the Communist Socialist Party. Clearly not a pro-America political party. I've spent my life solving real problems, whether it's at the negotiation table, in corporate America as an HR vice president, personnel problems, personality conflicts, reaching agreement, from classrooms to boardrooms. I've done it. And I'm going to bring that passion, that determination, that know-how to Topeka, and millions of people across this country know already who I am and what my MAGA style is and how I talk to you, just like this. I can't wait to get out on the road in Kansas and visit every county within the state, because This is a message, this is a style, this is a passion that resonates. 2 million people a month don't tune in just for fun because they don't like what they're watching. And that's what we get. 2 million people a month. So we know how far our message goes. We're going to focus it on Kansas, and I'm proud and honored to do it. I'm running with a woman named April McCoy. She's going to be our lieutenant governor, a MAGA conservative woman. Her and her husband, Sean, who is an Army veteran, received the Purple Heart for injuries that he received in Afghanistan. April McCoy is a businesswoman. She came from a man's world in sales, where she excelled and became the #1 sales leader in her company. She's going to be an excellent lieutenant governor for you in the state of Kansas. And I can't wait to work with April and all of the team that we have assembled in Kansas. We will have a website up soon. We'll have an avenue by which you can volunteer to help the campaign. And Kansas needs a fighter like this. We don't need a figurehead. And there you have it. That's a MAGA vision as I see it for the state of, and this is only episode 1, folks. I'm going to talk for 4 or 5 episodes about what we're going to do. And I think that you'll agree that when you listen to the show, I know I'm talking about Kansas, but you can implement these things, and you can be part of a grassroots movement within your own state that will push these initiatives wherever you live to drive the message and the point home. No property tax, a world-class educational system, a K-Doge revolution, a MAGA economic boom, no woke or DEI BS from an outsider who knows how to win tough fights. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about out of time. I do want to encourage you, if you like this show, apart from my campaign, if you like this show, head over to DougBillings.us. DougBillings.us. It's how I make a living. If you like me, www.DougBillings.us. There's a way that you can prayerfully consider setting up a monthly recurring donation over there so I can continue to produce the show and make a living until I'm sitting in that governor's mansion in Kansas. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm with you, and I know that you're with me. We're in this thing together. Wherever you live, believe it. For the Republic, for Kansas, cheers.